Welcome to Global Risk Community Chat. Today our guest is Mr. KV Dipu. I'm very happy to have you here today, Mr. Dipu. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Is. Absolute pleasure being here.
Yes, likewise. So before we get into the topic, can you briefly introduce yourself to our audience?
Yeah. I work as Senior President and Head of Operations and Customer Service at Bajaj Allianz General Insurance Company in India. Bajaj Allianz is ranked number 8 amongst the top 100 global digital insurers. It's a joint venture of Bajaj, which is a very well-respected group in India, and Allianz, which is the world's #1 insurer based in Munich. And my primary role is to drive digital transformation and innovation.
Sounds good. Sounds like you are doing a lot of exciting things also at your work environment. So with that being said, then let's jump into the topic. What would you like to share with us today?
Yes, today I thought for our audience, I'd like to talk about risk in customer experience management and risk in digital transformation.
Sounds good. Then, well, let's get into it. So what are some key things you can share with us about this?
Yeah. If you look at customer experience, I think I'll basically talk about 3 angles, especially reputation risk. I think that's at the heart of, customer experience management, because you could have a lot of disgruntled customers reaching out to you. So one solution, which we've been able to use is to use NPS, or Net Promoter Score. You can use it to systematically, minimize the risk. Use, feedback from detractors, understand what are their concerns and work on it over the years, and then, make a difference to customers. So clearly, that's one area where you can manage risk in customer experience. Second is, and this is a problem which, a lot of firms face, which is about inadequate information, because data can reside in silos across the organization. And one way around it is to basically give a 360-degree view to your agents, so that when customers reach out to you, you don't need to ask them for information which is already available with you. It just introduces ease and takes away a lot of irritation from customers. So that's again risk which you can tackle by just having the right technology in place.
Yeah.
And the third risk is strategically, if you can move customer experience to the center of everything that you do, then you can eliminate this risk across the entire organization. So these are the 3 things which we feel have been effective for us from the point of view of managing risk in customer experience, using NPS, moving the customer to the center, and giving a 360-degree view to your agents.
Could you get into a bit more in depth into these 3 steps as well?
Sure. So when you talk about NPS, essentially you basically take feedback from promoters, detractors, and neutrals. You do a quantitative and qualitative analysis. You work on the feedback, you close loop with customers, and then your scores tend to improve over a period of time. That's how systematically you work on eliminating risk from a reputation point of view. Secondly, coming to inadequate information, what typically happens is data is lying across different data marts in the organization. So what firms can do, especially if you're able to leverage cloud infrastructure, is to basically convert these data silos and data marts into a single data lake, by which your agents can get a 360-degree view of customers. They have the entire transaction history in front of them. And by using that, you can basically not ask customer for information which you already have, and thereby introduce ease. But you can also use this opportunity to convert a detractor into a promoter, and then also, introduce cross-sell and upsell. So thereby, customer experience moves from being a cost center to being a revenue generator as well. And the third aspect I spoke about, strategically moving the customer to the center of everything that you do, is to ensure that, whether you launch a new product or whether you basically, get caught up with the latest technological developments in town, it's always important to have a customer first philosophy, because we are here to solve a customer problem or create a new experience for customers. So if you can put that philosophy in place, then what happens is whatever you do is ultimately aimed towards, giving a leg up to customers. And thereby you ensure that from a customer point of view, the risks of creating a white elephant or the risks of coming out with something which customers don't accept is greatly minimized.
Yes. Thank you so much for getting more in depth to it as well, because I think now it has also become more clear to people that might not be familiar exactly with some of the terms. So with that being said, then let's move on to the next question. And that is, if you were to be sharing some takeaway points with our audience that are, interested in risk management, of course, but also with, like customer satisfaction and want to, maybe get better at it, what would be the first things you would recommend them to implement? Of course, you shared the 3 steps that you do, but if you were to focus one very important initial thing they need to do, what would that be?
Yeah. So as I, that's a very good question. And I think the one thing that comes to my mind, especially what I keep telling, risk professionals is when everybody else is panicking, stay calm. Because that's when, you need to ensure that from a risk perspective, you basically de-risk the risk. And the other is when everybody else is calm, that's when you need to ensure that, you get proactive, So I think that's how, a good risk professional, can basically focus on things which are not broken, because people don't focus on them, but which may potentially be broken in the future. And also ensure that when there is chaos around you, you bring in order. And I think that kind of risk management can greatly add value to customers and to the firm.
So what I'm hearing is that the risk manager should be the person that is changing the status quo, focusing on things the others aren't focusing. That sounds
Absolutely.
like a great advice, or like a nice outlook at it, I think. And then let's move on to our last question, and that is, how it is for you to be part of risk community in general?
I think a community is a great concept. It ensures that like-minded people can come together and exchange views. It's one of the benefits of the digital age that we live in, that there are platforms where we can exchange information. And the beauty of exchanging information is we all become richer, right? If you want to exchange €1 each, we are left with €1 each. But if you want to exchange one idea each, we are left with 2 ideas each. That's how knowledge can grow. And I think that's where a community, and especially focus on risk, because risk management is so integral to today's context that I think it's a great platform for people to exchange views and enrich themselves in the bargain.
Yes, thank you for sharing that as well. I agree that like these platforms, communities can be great sources for everybody in the community, essentially, to like get more insights. So is there any last words you would like to share with us?
Yeah, just a couple of points on managing risk in digital transformation. I think one thing which we need to keep in mind is, what are the situational context? What are the kind of assets that customers are using? Also the language, right? Especially so true, when you look at the Indian context or the European context, because people speak multiple languages. So I think there is an effort required, to make it multilingual, as well as ensure that, we give the full panoply of choices to customers. That's how you manage, situational and contextual risk in digital transformation. And the other is, derailing risk. What happens is when everybody gets caught up with digital transformation at scale, governance, is very much required, because otherwise, you can quickly get derailed if there are information security issues, or if, you have adopted technological changes which are not truly customer centric. So I think these are 2 risks, derailing risk and situational risk, which good professionals should keep in mind as we go about digital transformation at scale.
Thank you for that as well. And with that being said, unfortunately, we have run out of our time for today. So I want to thank you so much again for joining us today, sharing your insights. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Is. Thank you very much.
Have a great day.
Thank you. Same to you.